Yeah, Andrew's worked hard all his life, and he's a historian in our country. He knows more about it than anybody there. And he never forgot anything. I forgot lots of things, but this man, he's got a brain on him, and he's not forgot nothing.
Well, this man here is leading you a little bit astray, because I can think of a lot of things now I forget people's names, and I know them well, and I can't even say the names, so I'm slipping a little bit. But give him 7 more years, maybe he'll get the same.
Well, I'm that way already.
What?
I'm that way already.
Yeah.
Well, my father was that way, Andrew. I was coming home from Covelo one time, and we met. My father's name was Ralph Burgess, and we were hauling a load of hay out of Covelo back to where we live in Zenia, and there's a truck in front of us there, and they stopped in the road, and we stopped, and that man says, "Hello, Ralph," and my father says, "Hi there, how you doing?" You know, and so we talked a few minutes, and we went on, and he turned around to me, and he says, "I wonder who the hell that was."
Who was it?
I don't know.
Oh.
I still never know the way it went.
I got to tell you guys a quick story. This guy, he goes up, and they're 2 old timers, you know, but they're in their 90s.
Yeah.
And George, he goes up and he says, "Fred, this is the best hearing aid I ever got in my life. I can hear a fish fart in Lake Mendocino." And he goes, "Really, Fred? What kind is it?" He says, "About 2:45."
Yeah, well, that's a good story. You bet.
You can retell that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, when you get old, well, you know it. You don't know it, you've really lost it.
So now, how old are you?
I'm just past 80.
So this is your 80th birthday, or?
Yeah, well, I had a birthday 3 months ago. This man's 87 years old.
You're making me old before my time. I won't be 87 for another 3 weeks.
Let me tell you a story about this man. Now, this story here is an interesting story. This father was a German, and he talked broken. And they used to come over. He came over one time with a wagon, Andrew and his father, and they had to stay overnight coming over there with the team, and they had a kettle of goat stew that they ate. Them days people lived different than they do today, but on the road they had that, and they got there, and Mr. Scheubeck was a fine man, but he talked broken. I just pretty small kid, and when he insisted, well, I came from a big family. There were 10 children, 12 born and 10 raised in the family. And by golly, you know, he wanted us to have some of that goat stew. Well, I thought for some stupid reason, you never know what a kid thinks, that he was trying to poison us. And by God, I couldn't say nothing to nobody, and I can remember everyone was sitting in the whole 9 yards, and believe you me, I never touched it, but other people did, and it never was good. You know, it was great, but once I got to know that man later, then I realized what a fool I had been, you know. But I just thought that he was, for some reason, trying to poison the whole family. Now, kids they get the wrong steer sometimes. That was a worrywart.
Did you ever tell anybody?
I told Andrew.
Yeah.
I told Andrew about it. You bet.
Did you tell the old man?
No.
Yeah, well, he didn't tell me at that time.
See, so but then I got well acquainted with his father, and he was a great man, just like this is a great man. Yeah. But that was a story I've never forgotten, and things like that. Kids get ideas that are nuts. Another time, I got off on the wrong track because an old boy came up on the other side from the house, come up on there with a motorcycle. And he come roaring up there, and all I'd ever heard about motorcycles that there was sheriffs and cops. So he's coming to my folks' place, and I wondered what in the world had my father done that that had a cop, and he was a friend of another person that we knew that used to live down there, come over there at Zenia and lived. Hal Woodford.
Oh,
Hal Woodford's son. He was riding a
Oh.
motorcycle. And that was as innocent as he could be. But I thought I wondered, what in the hell has my father done? The sheriff's coming after him.
I knew Hal Woodford, but I never met his son. But I knew.
Well, that's the only time I ever met him.
But Hal Woodford and my mother were raised in the same neighborhood.
Were they really?
Yeah.
He was a nice person. Yeah. Yeah, he made me a headstall one time, and God, I wished I had it today. He braided it, but I don't.